Hello, and welcome to your English 105 and English 110 library instruction session. We're going to be starting on the library homepage, libraries.missouri-state.edu. From the library homepage, we're going to scroll to this tabbed search box in the middle, and we're going to click on this fourth tab, Subject Guides. Type in English, hit Enter, and make your way to the English Subject Guide. We're starting here because we, your librarians, have curated specific resources that are going to be useful to you in the subject of English and for English 105 and English 110 specifically. It's important to start with library resource because it gives you a basis of credibility. These resources that we have gathered for you have already gone through a vetting process, so you don't have to spend as much time evaluating and trying to guess if something is going to be quality information. On the English Subject Guide, we're just going to do a brief overview. You have your home page, which is going to give you a few English-specific databases that you might like to check out. Our Discover at MSU search box. This is going to be our primary mode of searching, and we're going to come back to this. We also have a Google Scholar search box because Google Scholar is a relevant tool to use when searching for resources. However, I do recommend that you watch the Using Google Scholar video for some tips to be more successful using that. We also have a tab that takes you through a few more individual databases that might be good for the general subject of English. Included are a couple helpful videos and some pro tips on searching in the databases. We have some books and ebooks along with videos on how to specifically search for those things. Journals, in case you're wanting to find a specific journal on a topic within the subject of English. Online resources, so a few websites and associations that might be helpful, as well as 2 videos that focus on evaluation. And the reason that we have these extra evaluation tools with the online resources is because things that you find online have not gone through a library vetting process. So while there are many good things that you can find searching online, you want to be extra sure that you've done your due diligence in making sure that it is credible, relevant, truthful. And so these videos help with that. The ACT-UP evaluation, that's just an acronym to go through to check different things. And then the website evaluation I find especially useful because it helps you to recognize what you might find on different domain names, as well as a media bias chart. So lots of good information there. And then we have your course-specific tab. So one of the things that it is important to recognize when you're doing your research for English 105 or English 110 is that you're going to be taking things that other people have said and stitching it together with your own voice to come up with your own scholarly works. So there are some prompts through here on how to do that. And of course, you've got number 1 on getting started with the research conversation. Now, on each of these, there's a drop down that's going to tell you a little bit more about each of these questions or topics. So before you get too far into the research process, I recommend taking a look through this so you have a better understanding of what you need to do with the research you find. Because it's not just finding the things, it's knowing how to use them. So again, getting started with research conversations, understanding your sources because there's differences, and we're going to talk a little more especially about that scholarly piece. How to use the sources in your writing because you want these things to support your ideas, not take the place of them. We want your original thoughts and ideas. That's kind of the whole point. Thinking critically about information and a checklist. There's another method of evaluation here and a checklist for thinking critically. One of the most valuable, I think, when you're looking for credibility is to look at the authority and see, okay, who wrote this and what qualifications do they have to be speaking on this. This library instruction video will be right here because we are going to walk through how to find the things, and then citation, because being able to track what you've used is important to know how to do that correctly and ethically. All right, so let's go back to that Discover at MSU search box. And this does live on the library homepage as well as a subject guide, so there are multiple places that you can access this. Now, we're going to focus on your research synthesis assignment, because for this, you need 4 to 5 articles and 2 must be scholarly. And you're going to be able to find scholarly articles using this Discover at MSU. So I'm going to type in my chosen community topic, and my topic to start is single mothers. I'm going to click search. This is a comprehensive search, so don't be alarmed if you get a lot of results at once, because this is searching a lot of our databases all at one time, and I'm going to show you how to use filters to whittle this down. Okay. I have my results. That's a lot. We're not going to focus too much on that. We're going to go to the All Filters button at the top of the page, and we're going to select Scholarly, because you know you need scholarly articles, and we're going to select Available in Library Collection. That means that we're going to have a pathway to full text with the articles that show up. Let's also adjust the publication date. So we want some currency. We want to look at the last 5 years, and we're going to apply that. Now, while those are applying, I want to take a minute and examine what it means for something to be scholarly, because you have your popular resources like magazines, newspapers. This can be good information and it may go through an editor, but scholarly is different. Scholarly means when an expert in a field has done some research and they would like to publish it, then it has to go through a panel of other experts and get the academic equivalent of a thumbs up before it's allowed to be published. So you have experts in a field examining what that author has written, and that gives it like an ultra layer of credibility there. And this is important to you as a student scholar because you want solid information from which to work. All right, enough about that. Let's go ahead and look at our results. We have much less, and we're going to do just a quick skim, and I'm seeing there are some that's not exactly on target. Some of them are about mice. What we need to do at this point is come back to our keywords and make them more precise. Because the term single mothers, that can be a lot of things. So we're going to add, using the word and, to make it more about what we actually want to look at. I want to look at single mothers and mental health. So that's going to further focus our results pool, and we're going to have more focused articles, and we could keep going. We could add and poverty. So coming up with your key terms and putting them together to create a search string, it's more of an art than a science, and you may have to play with that a little bit. And don't be discouraged if you don't get it exactly right on the first try. All right, so let's go ahead and look. We have a much more focused list now at an article. I say this number 2 looks good, so I'm going to click on the title to get to the detail record, and this is going to tell me all sorts of things. So I've got my publication information. It's coming from this Journal of Child and Family Studies. These are all the subjects that are associated with it. This area can be helpful when you're trying to come up with keywords. And then an abstract. Abstracts are a wonderful place to get an idea of what this article is about without reading the entire article. Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, scholarly articles can be a little daunting when you're not used to them. They are written for experts in the field, not just necessarily anyone. So make sure that you take advantage of reading any abstracts they may have. All right, you also have some tools at the top, so you can save this. There is a citation tool, so you are going to need the APA citation for this article. And here it is. Now, I do recommend double checking this against a style guide before you hand any final project, because there are going to be little things you need to fix. For example, the title of this is not in sentence case, so you need to uncapitalize some letters. Still a great tool to use. You can also add to your project, which is an internal platform folder. You can share, and this is going to give you some options to share to different drives, to your email, or you can create a link. This is a permalink. This link up in the browser is also a permalink now, so that's handy. And you can download. All right, let's talk about accessing. Your accessing full text is going to be available in this Access Now button. And you may see that we have the PDF immediately. You may see that we have something called Full Text Finder or available in, just don't be afraid to click on the links. One of those is going to get you there. All right, let's take a very quick look at the anatomy of a scholarly article. So again, they'll have the same abstract, so that is a good place to start. This one actually includes highlights too. That's really helpful. Generally, then you'll have an introduction, kind of the current framework. A lot of times they'll do their literature review, so they'll explain to you what other articles they have looked at to be able to put this together. The current study, this is the study that these authors did, and it'll talk about the type of study, the population, maybe a little bit about the outcomes. Here's the method. I know this can be a little overwhelming if you're not used to it. Different strategies, and then the results. So while I will never tell you to not read the entire article, a lot of times the most important content is going to be in the introduction and the results. So as long as you know you can go to those sections, you'll be able to come back and understand more about the middle bit once you move a little further along in your studies. This is more discussion that can be helpful too. And then there are references. So the references in a scholarly article, again, refer to the articles that these authors used to support their own ideas. This can be helpful if you're having trouble finding articles but you find one good article. Look and see what they've used. There might be some things you would like. All right, so that in a nutshell is how to use library resources to find materials for your research. You can also always come back to this guide, and this video will live here, as well as basic search in Discover at MSU, using interlibrary loan if you ever need to request something that we don't have. And you'll notice this chat just popped out. There is library help available to you via chat and via Ask a Librarian, which is on the library homepage. Let's go there really quickly. So on the homepage, if you go to Help on the left, Ask a Librarian, this is going to give you all of our options that we have for helping you with your library questions. All right, thank you very much, and cheers to a great semester.